fun at his expense. I feel kind of bad about it, but we kept talking of parallels between him and Donnie Darko. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but Patrick Swayze plays this character in the movie where he's trying to sell these books and educate, go on these speaking tours in schools, and he's all about there's only two things, and it's love and fear. And then he asks a series of questions, and you have to, place a mark on this line that's between love and fear, and you have to figure out where the question falls on the line, and that's it. It's that two wolves story all over.
I haven't seen that movie. Of course, I'm not a real big movie watcher.
Oh, it was a good movie. I'm going to apologize for bringing negative energy into this room right here at the get-go.
Sorry if I was echoing. I think I was.
So where has Third Proverb been? I haven't seen him in the last few hangouts I've been to.
Third proverb? No, I don't know.
Brother John.
I've been out of the game. Yeah, I've been out of the game for like a week, so.
He was on here yesterday and the day before, and the day before that. Where have you been?
I was here yesterday. I didn't see him in the room.
Oh, no, he wasn't. I don't know if he was. I don't think Reuven had a room yesterday. He was in Bob's room, or Rob's room. I mean.
Okay. What's up, Prescott? Reuven.
So everybody must think the same in here because they're not saying anything. We must all have the same mindset. I can guarantee I can check that up. So how was everybody?
Well, don't hesitate.
Just based on experience. But I'm trying to be cool and calm, collected tonight. Just kind of a cerebral, chilling. No, I don't guess I've interacted with you guys before. Just thought I'd see what's happening with y'all. What do you like to talk about?
There's your answer.
Nothing. No arguing. No fighting. No
I'm up for anything.
Politics. Painting.
Don't mess with Bob Ross.
Yeah. Is he still around?
I honestly don't know. I know he hasn't been on TV in ages, but I don't know if he's still alive or not.
Yeah, Bob Ross died last year.
Oh, he did? Oh,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, he was entertaining.
Yeah, but most people don't realize he was he was a hardcore military man, and then decided he just didn't want to hurt anybody anymore, and he became Bob Ross the painter.
Yeah. I loved his little commentary,
It was great. I didn't even like painting, and I used to watch him just because it was peaceful.
Yeah. Yeah, he would paint a painting, it's almost like you were, he'd put you there in that world. He's like, oh, we'll just put how about some little flowers down here?
My favorite was always like, oh, it's a happy little mistake, and we'll make that a bird.
Yeah. Yeah, he seemed like a good guy.
Need more people like him.
Yeah. Just kind of a sweet disposition.
That's a fact.
There's not enough of that nowadays, really.
No,
Everybody's angry. Have you noticed that?
you know, I was mentioning it in a hangout the other day. I don't watch TV a lot because it just, you know, they play on whatever emotion and try to drive, you know, I guess sales. I think that's what the whole thing about TV is. It's a, you know, commercial delivery device, and they try to get you on a high note or a low note emotionally, and then pipe that commercial in there, you know. So it's ratings commercial. But I watched Fox News for a couple of hours the other day, and man, it was just doom and gloom and bashing on the administration, and it's like there wasn't really any news. It was just all smash and grab, you know. And then when they did have some news on there, it wasn't, we're going to talk to so and so on the scene, or we have news coming out of the scene, or, you know, this just in from this guy. It's just talking heads. We're now hearing that blah blah blah. No source, nothing. Where did you find this out? Nobody knows. We're just going to read it off, you know.
Yeah.
It's not news.
I'm kind of like you. I honestly, and I used to be a politics junkie and a news junkie. I just probably a year ago, I just completely stopped. I can't even remember the last time I watched the news. I hardly turn the TV on anymore. Period. But I read to try to keep what's going on. Read a little bit on the internet, but it's also depressing.
The only thing you can do to catch up on political news, honestly, is watch like C-SPAN. Everything else is propaganda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It puts me in a bad mood.
Unless you have a really good source for policy analysis and stuff like that, then yeah, definitely clue into that. But, you know, if you just got somebody that's trying to bash the other party, that what they represent, then it's just nothing but trouble.
Yeah, I had to get away from it. It was disturbing. I just don't think it's healthy. I mean, it's just people fighting and yelling all the time. It's the same thing on sitcoms, really. You know, what passes as comedy nowadays involves people yelling at each other. You know,
yeah, it's tragic. Entertainment, the value of entertainment today is tragic.
Yeah, and I don't find it funny, and I get away from it. Even my kids' TV shows, I've got younger teenagers, and the stuff they watch, you know, what passes as comedy or something funny involves people yelling at each other. You know, it's a jest, but it's still yelling.
Yeah, I can't comment too much there. I grew up on the old Bugs Bunny Roadrunner. And
oh yeah, well that's great. That's awesome. That stuff. It's too bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
but it's still pretty violent.
Well, the violence is one thing, but you know, it was all generally lighthearted, happy fun. You know, but yeah.
Should I stop reading the news and help with conversation?
Certainly.
Yes.
Oh god. Okay. I got a question. Why don't a lot of Christians like know about like the different castes of angels? Like, I mean, where's like they don't have much of the mythology out there.
I would assume just because it is extra canonical. I mean, you know, I guess Roman Catholics believe in Raphael because he's within their canon, and as well as the Orthodox. But Protestants would not think that Raphael existed because he's not mentioned in their canon, or they would say that it's possible he exists, but they don't have any way of knowing because it's extra canonical.
Okay, try again.
Failed on that one. Let's see.
Well, I'm a Christian, but I guess the topic of angels is just not a terribly important one. So
that depends on. Oh, sorry. Go
spreading the
ahead.
gospel. I was just gonna say spreading the gospel is really what being a Christian is all about, not thinking about angels or that kind of thing.
I think it gives some perspective. You got, Raphael, you have Gabriel, you have Michael, you have Metatron. I forget the other 2 or 3 of the higher caste. You have the Council of 1,000. Why doesn't anyone know about that?
Well, what is their relevance to us now, though?
I know some Christians that think that when they die, they become angels.
Well, I wouldn't say, much of it has relevance, period, but, if someone ever asked, why does God do this, if you knew about the Council of 1,000, then you would have your answer. It's a council that either condemns or approves mankind, and as long as there's one angel saying no, mankind's still okay, God doesn't do anything.
Do we have access to the voting records on that? I'm assuming that somewhere in the mythology to that at least they posted up something about the vote tally.
They might have.
I'm not saying that to bash Christianity, by the way. I'm just saying if it's non-canonical, then there's usually something that goes in along with that. You know what I mean?
Well, I have it in good authority that Gavriel's the problem. Get rid of him and we can end this thing.
Well, I was just curious because the Book of Enoch was really popular and used everywhere up until the Council of Nicaea, as far as I'm aware.
So you're suggesting that angels were once a part of the whole picture, but someone removed them, or someone added them?
Well, no, they've been there the whole time. It talks about having multiple people talking to each other in Genesis. They just don't leave in the stuff that fills that story out.
I would clarify on what Reuven's typing over there, which, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be, I often am. I think what became canonical really happened over like a couple of centuries.
Y'all have a good night.
Okay. Nice, Cerberus. The one Christian in the room.
I was hoping he would have more to say about it.
He left? Why'd he leave?
I was going to ask him to share the gospel with us, just to see what his version was.
I hope I didn't say anything that upset him.
Let's see. Okay, I'm trying to remember the name. Who was the one that walked with God?
Enoch.
Was it Enoch? Was Enoch Methuselah's father?
Methuselah was Enoch's father, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because, that's who Metatron is. It's Enoch.
Enoch was the 7th from Adam, wasn't he? 7th generation or whatever.
Yes, Metatron does sound like the name for a transformer.
So there's I'm going to say proof. I don't think it's proof, but proof that you can become an angel.
There's proof. No, there's proof that people believe you can become angels.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's what you meant to say, Cerberus. It's not this. Okay. Go ahead, explain.
What do you want?
I just invited you to the room. I didn't necessarily want anything. But we're having a hard time coming up with something to talk about.
Oh.
It's not like a PM phone call or something. Hello. There's other people in here.
I guess Reuven might know this because he knew the Metatron thing. Which one of the angels was the leader when the angels fell and had sex with the women? Was it? Oh, it was Samael. Okay. I remember reading the book quite a while ago and him having lots of the same characteristics like Lucifer would have.
Well, anyways, I gotta go.
Later.
Later.
I heard there's versions out there of the gospel that's why we had the flood. It wasn't because of man's fall, it was because of the temptation.
Say that again?
The way I heard it is there's some scripture out there that basically says God was more pissed off at the angels who were trying to mate with humans, and then that's when the flood story evolved. It was to wipe the slate, start all over again. And after that was when a call for modesty came on earthly women. I don't know how true that is or if there's any truth in it at all. Like I said, I just heard it.
Yeah, I've never heard that one. That doesn't mean anything, but just saying. Reuven says, on likely grounds, since no one understood the story as angels coming down and having sex with mortal women early on.
That's where we got the giants, right? Or the men of renown.
So the term, yeah, okay. Because one, angels do not have genitals. How do you know that? Two, the Hebrew is very clear that the giants are the ruling elite of Cain, the princes of power, the men of renown, who take for themselves the daughters of men, the daughters of Adam. So if they did.
Wait, say that again. They don't have genitalia, but they took the daughters of Adam.
No. Angels do not have genitals. So, and two, the second reason is that the Hebrew is very clear that the giants are the ruling elite of Cain, the princes of power, the men of renown, who take for themselves the daughters of men.
I thought the angels were supposed to gain that when they took earthly bodies.
I think that's the Mormon perspective.
Oh, okay.
Mormon, Mason, what's the difference?
Huge difference.
Oh, sorry. I forgot we have a jar in the room.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. A jar. A mason jar.
Okay.
We have them up here for making jams and jellies. Anyway, sorry.
No worries.
I'm kind of confused. Are you saying I make jams and jellies?
I like jams and jellies. So it's a compliment.
Okay. You should like preserves better.
Eat 'em all.
Jams and jellies are like the leftover.
Well, it's been a long time since I've had any of the homemade stuff, so.
The best.
Yeah.
Ever have apple butter?
Oh yeah.
No.
Really? You need to go to a farmer's market sometime or something. Get some apple butter.
Or pumpkin butter.
That too.
Yeah. Conceivably, Paul understood the female allurement of angels to be an ongoing concern, since their mating with humans, as presented in the Torah, was evidently not limited to the pre-Diluvian, pre-flood period, Genesis 6:4, Numbers 13:33, Genesis 19:1 through 11, Tobit 6:14. The interpretation allows for some resolution of the 1 Corinthian passage. For example, it would presumably make the order of which Paul was speaking of a post something, I can't read that word. I don't know, but apparently Paul was under he thought that the angels were being tempted by women, earth women, mortal women.
So whose fault is it? Is it the angel's fault or is it the women's fault?
It's always the women's fault. Come on, man. I'm not saying that as a sexist. I'm just saying when you look at any old documents, pretty much the women, second-class citizens at best. What are you laughing at?
Your avatar is in the middle of the thing when you're talking, and I'm just imagining, you with fuzzy hair. And...
Yeah, I'm shaved bald. Low maintenance, no drag. Yeah, I went through some pretty good avatar choices today before I settled on this one. I even changed my background on my page to a Bob Ross painting just to keep the theme up.
That's funny.
Okay, so apparently we're having a hard time finding a subject that everyone can get their teeth into. Is that how I'm reading this room?
I'm a little distracted because, like, my microphone indicator on my avatar is bouncing when other people are talking, and it never used to do that. And I don't know if a setting had changed or something, because just after I came into the room, my microphone cut out, and I had to go in and reselect it under the tools or under the settings section, and ever since it's been bouncing when other people have been talking, and I get concerned because I know that can cause an echo from the delay that you guys experience. But are you guys hearing anything like an echo?
I have not.
Oh, okay, all right. I don't know what's going on then.
No worries. I know that guy. What's happening?
Oh, nothing much. Hey, what do you guys think about Razorfist by any chance? The YouTuber, Razorfist.
Did you say Raisin Bran?
No, Razor Fist. As in the Ragerholic. He's a YouTube reviewer. He reviews video games and video game news.
Mm.
Here's a YouTube channel real quick. There you go. Well, you and me too, Reuven.
Yeah.
We play video games basically, so yeah.
What's this here thing what's a video game? What is that now?
It's a YouTube reviewer. He reviews games. Like for example, he has like a specific. Let me go and show you what I mean.
Dude, I'm just messing with you, really, seriously.
See here.
All right. Treadmill or elliptical? What should I get?
How are your knees?
They're getting old like the rest of me.
What kind of diet are you on? I mean, standard American diet?
Yeah, probably pretty close to it. I'm in Canada, but I drive. I'm on the road all the time, so I probably eat a little too much in the drive-through. But I'm on the road all the time, so it can't be helped.
I'd go elliptical, or you're going to end up with sore knees in a matter of 2 years.
Did you say go elliptical?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here you go.
Okay, Dad, hold on.
We had an elliptical, Prescott, and we discovered that it will hold clothing just as good as a treadmill will. And if we had a front porch, I'm sure it would have found its way out to the front porch where most rednecks keep their treadmills.
I hear you. I've had a Bowflex before, and the biggest part of the problem there was just my work schedule for trying to work around it. But just with some changes that have happened recently, I think that I might be able to work something in where I do my layover. So I'm just wondering what I should try to anticipate for the winter months. So I'll get my walking routine going again, and then if in the fall I manage to keep up with that, then I'll get the elliptical.
Well, that's an entirely different problem from what I have with the Bowflex.
Okay, what's the problem you have with it?
I max out the machine.
Oh, well, you just get some more power rods.
It didn't look like you could add more.
Oh. Well,
It was this drama in my life because the fire department got one when I told them not to. No one uses it.
so you decided to.
I decided to use it and just. I mean, I'm strong. It's not really. There isn't that much weight on the machine.
It sounds like it might have come equipped with the standard rod configuration, but there is an additional weight that you can get. It basically adds two 50-pound rods to the back of it, so that gives you an extra 100 pounds.
I think right now it's sitting at only like 200.
Yeah, I think you need the extra rods then, because I think the standard configuration has 250s, 220s, a 10 and or 210s and 4.5s or something like that. Does that sound right?
Something like that.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So there is a way of upgrading it. In fact, I think you can actually buy that upgrade separate, and it just adds it to the back end of your. I'm sorry, I read the chat. Gotta okay. And so anyway, yeah. So that you'd be able to get some more use of it. So yeah, I was kind of thinking, yeah, you must be pretty strong to be, maxing it out. But yeah, that makes sense. It's a great machine. And now, were you just using it kind of like as a replacement for free weights, or have you ever looked at some of the high intensity training that some guys are doing with it?
Or like the high rep cardio, like bouncing around with like the dumbbells kind of thing?
Well, they basically they use it as a high intensity training device instead of a lot of the other equipment that the guys are using in the gym. So basically, you get on and you push.
Wait, what? Oh, he doesn't realize that muting people mutes them for everyone. Or not be a dumb kid and just go into your audio and mute the Hangout from there.
What was he doing?
He was muting everyone so he could watch a video.
All he has to do is mute himself. Okay.
Well, fine. I think this room needs an influx of crazy people.
And there are plenty around. I gather from listening to some of the Hangouts the last couple of days on my iPad. And I guess that's just the thing, is it like I'm listening to them and saying, oh man, where do they get these people? Where do they come from? And then I realize it's kind of like, well, you need them for exactly times like this.
Oh.
So where is Sty? Where is Rob? Where is John, and John?
Exactly. And Frank.
Where is Neff?
You're giving me chills here, Dick. You can't say all those names all in a row.
No, I can't. Okay, topic. Give us a topic. Let's talk about wolves.
I swear to God, I will start capping fools. We'll go straight up gangster on this room.
Why? What's up your goat, mate?
I've had enough wolf talk for the last week to last me the rest of the year.
Yeah? Why?
Where'd Jordan go?
He must have ran away. He doesn't like wolves, maybe. Who is Jordan, anyway?
Did you say how is or who is?
Who is, mate?
Oh, he's a pretty cool guy.
He's back. Hey, Jordan.
Hello, Rob.
What's up?
We were just hoping you would come back or come in.
Well, I'm here. Yeah, that's what.
Because we have nothing to talk about.
We have what? Nothing.
We have nothing to talk about. We've been sitting here just listening to ourselves breathe.
Hey, let's. Yeah. Well, I've got this thing I want to have a chat to Doug about, but we can talk about it here if you're interested. It's the Book of Daniel, and
Where's Doug?
Doug, I think's working. Well, that's what he said to me this morning.
Oh.
So, But basically, we had this contentious point about a passage in the Book of Daniel, which was basically about, well, it relates to a position that Dale Martin holds, who's a professor at Yale University. Yeah, Yale University, and Professor Martin holds that that it was written in 164 BC, and I kind of disagreed with that, but Doug brought up a really good point, which I really couldn't argue at the time, and it related to a certain passage, but I've now found an answer to answer that question, which then allows me to stay with a writing date of 160 BC. So, if you want to talk about that, we can, but if you don't, we don't have to.
What was the question?
Okay, so I'll give you the passage so that it's clear what we're talking about. 1 second. It's important to me because I want to shoot down Islam, and if I can fail the Book of Daniel, then Islam's got no legs to stand on, I don't think. So where are we? Daniel, bloody hell.
Doug thinks that something in Daniel foretells Islam?
No. See, where Islam falls down if you fail Daniel is that Daniel is the place that we actually see the angel Gabriel first mentioned. And I've got some stuff from the Book of Enoch that sort of strongly suggests that, Enoch's been marked already as Apocrypha, but it's got in there about a six-winged angel, and they relate that to Gabriel or Michael, and that can be tracked back to Zoroaster. So if Daniel is a fabrication, then it strongly suggests, or at least to me, that the whole notion of the angel Gabriel is a fabrication. And therefore, who's Muhammad talking to in that cave? That's the line I'm sort of pushing.
Well, you're kind of in luck because Cerberus is somewhat of an angel expert.
Oh, good.
Am I? Okay, let's try this. See how stupid I can sound. Let's go.
That's not like you. Okay, so here I'm just posting in the chat window. This is the passage from. Oh shit, it's long. That's the passage from Daniel that Professor Martin says is a series of events that. Well, so he takes the position that the Book of Daniel was written at 164 BC, and then I don't know how he got that idea, but then he from that says that this particular passage is a prophecy that never occurred. But that's not the truth of the matter because of this, which comes from Wikipedia, but nonetheless it's still... So in that passage, what it talks about... Hang on, Daniel is accurate until 164 and no idea the Maccabees will be successful. That's why it is dated around. Now, we're wrong, Reuven, and I'm going to argue that you're on that one. But let's just do it progressively. So that passage there, if you read through it, it says... I'll read it out anyway. The king will do as he pleases. So this is about the king who exalts himself. So it is about...
I read that, but I don't see anything about two wolves in there.
Oh, no. I thought I'd leave the two wolves out.
Oh,
I could read.
okay. All right, go ahead.
Leave them dogs at home.
What chapter is this?
This is 11, I think. Let me have a look. Sorry. So it's chapter 11, and it starts at verse 36. Now, if I read it out, these are the things that... This is the context that this king is spoken to, and then I'll connect it to the history. So the king will do as he pleases. He will exalt and magnify himself above every god. So we know that that was an issue for the Pharisees. You know, that Antiochus was, you know, putting himself above the gods. He will be successful, so he succeeds until the time of wrath is completed, so they're predicting that he's going to get bumped off. He will show no regards to the gods of his fathers, or for the one desired by women. I don't know what that means, but that doesn't matter. Nor will he regard any god. But
I think that looks pretty important.
well, it is interesting, but it doesn't really count for disproving Dr. Martin's position. Professor Martin.
Sorry.
That's all right. But it is interesting. Yeah, I'd like to know what
Who's
this god...
guy that is desired by women?
Yeah, who is that god? Because it is an intrigue. It is an intrigue. I'll grant you that. So anyway, we'll go on, and we can come back to that and have a chat about that in a minute. Instead of them, he will honour a god of fortresses, a god unknown to his fathers. He will honour with gold and silver, with precious stones and costly gifts. So he's going against the god of the Pharisees, or Yahweh, if you like. He will attack the mightiest fortresses with the help of a foreign god, and will greatly honour those who acknowledge him. So the foreign god, I think, is like the Hellenized side of things. So he's backing the Hellenized thing that. It's that old argument of the Greeks versus the Pharisees, or not the old argument. It's probably one of the earliest starts to it. He will then make them rulers over people, and will distribute the land at a price. Now, I think that part's really important, because in fact Antiochus, I think it was about 168 BC, but we'll read that in a minute. He actually took over Egypt, but he did it in a sort of a subtle way because he didn't want the Romans to catch on. So he left Ptolemy and I think later on his brother in power. So I think that may be a reference to the making of the rulers. At the time, and then it goes on, at the time of the end, the king of the south so that's Ptolemy, will engage him in battle, and the king of the north, that's Antiochus, will storm out against him with chariots and cavalry and a great fleet of ships. Now that's important to hang on to, the fleet of ships, because when we look at the historical record, it actually mentions that. He will invade many countries and sweep them like a flood. He will also invade the beautiful land, so I guess that's Jerusalem. Many countries will fall, but Edom, Moab, and leaders of Ammon will be delivered from his hand. He will extend his powers over many countries. Egypt will not escape. Now, this is where Doug and the professor were saying, because they were looking forward beyond 164 for BC, so they'd locked into that thinking, and they was looking forward and saying, well, shit, there was no evidence of that ever happening beyond 164. The fact of the matter is it happened before 164 BC. He will gain control of the treasures and gold, the silver, and all the riches of Egypt, with the Libyans and the Nubians in submission. But reports from the east and the north will alarm him. So he's getting pressure from north and east. Now, east is Babylon side, I think. North perhaps could be a reference to Rome. And he will set out in a great rage to destroy and annihilate many. So, yeah, and in fact, he does actually go back and he has a fight. Well, that's when the Maccabean revolt starts. He will pitch his royal tents between the seas and the beautiful holy mountains, yet he will come to his end and no one will help him. Antiochus is the bad wolf, Ptolemy is the good wolf. Well, no, Reuven, I'm not sure I actually agree with that. Now let's have a look at what's said in Wikipedia. So you guys have got the link there. I'll go to the passage and just read it out. And the idea is to try and correlate what's been written in the scripture with the historical record. So I'm just going to that. So I'm actually there now, and I'm at. This is the Wikipedia article on Antiochus 4, Epiphanes, and I'm in the section that says wars against Egypt. When the guardians of King Ptolemy IV of Egypt demand the return of Coel Syria, so I guess that's Syria, in 170 BC, Antiochus launched a preemptive strike against Egypt, conquering all but Alexandria and capturing King Ptolemy. To avoid alarming Rome, Antiochus allowed Ptolemy VI, I think it is, to continue ruling as a puppet king. And there's a real strong reason that he was worried about Rome, and equally in reverse, Rome was really concerned that if they let Ptolemy have that grab of Egypt, he would be getting up to a scale where he could be a threat to Rome. So they definitely didn't want that to occur. Upon Antiochus's withdrawal, the city of Alexandria chose a new king. But don't forget, Antiochus is still the ruler in the background.
Wait. Where are you reading? What section?
Wars against Egypt. It's probably about the third paragraph down. Can you see it? It's known as the Sixth Syrian War. Got it? You got it?
I'm probably on a different page. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I can wait for you.
I was actually looking at a section on Wikipedia about the book of Daniel and looking at the historical content there versus what was in the scripture.
Yeah. No, what I'm doing is I'm looking directly at scripture, and then I'm looking directly at a historical record of a series of events relating to Antiochus and a takeover of Egypt. And I'm trying to demonstrate clearly that they correlate with the passage in Scripture that I just read. So anyway, so we've got this situation where there's a division of land and rulers set up under the control of Antiochus, but subtly to avoid Rome's suspicions. And the Ptolemy brothers agreed to rule Egypt jointly. So in 168 BC, Antiochus led a second attack on Egypt and also sent a fleet, right? So here's the reference to the ships to capture Cyprus. Before reaching Alexandria, his path was blocked by a single old Roman ambassador named Gaius Popilius Laelianus, who delivered a message from the Roman Senate directing Antiochus to withdraw his armies from Egypt and Cyprus or consider themselves in a state of war with the Roman Republic. Antiochus tried to worm his way out of that. He said he would discuss it with his council, whereupon the Roman envoy drew a line in the sand around him and said, "Before you cross this circle, I want you to give me a reply to the Roman Senate," implying that that Rome would declare war if the king stepped out of the circle without committing to leave Egypt immediately. Weighing his options, Antiochus decided to withdraw. Only then did Popilius agree to shake hands with him. So, you know, you can see there that there's a lot of correlation between the article, the part in Scripture, that says that there was a point in the history where Antiochus actually did go down, and there was a war between Syria and Egypt. He was de facto leader. There was a splitting of the lands, some jockeying of rulers, and you've also got the event where he's sent packing back home and starts a war. So there you go. I'm driving away in drones. Yeah. Now, Reuven, what say you? Reuven? Hey, what's Jordan's position? Is he theist or atheist? Deist. Okay. So John. Yeah, I wonder if he has low interest because he likes the peace. Completely fluent in Greek. Yeah, would have been interesting to get his viewpoint, I suppose, but it is what it is, Reuven. So Reuven, what's your reaction? You still dispute it? Oh, sorry. Before you answer, let me add two things. Oh, okay, hang on, I'll see what you've got to say. I go with the broad consensus of scholars as to the dating. Yeah, but now, can you see that there's no basis for 164? And I'll give you a reason why 160 is a better date. I'll give you a couple of reasons. If you go to, I'm going to the book of Daniel, chapter 8. Right, if I go to chapter 8, verse 14, it specifically says 2300 evenings and mornings. That so this is Daniel 8:14. He said to me, "It will take 2300 evenings and mornings when the sanctuary will be reconsecrated." If you actually calculate that out, now I'm not sure which calendar they would have used because they were playing with calendars at that point, and that's clear in Enoch. But worst case scenario, that equates to 6.3 years. The battle, the revolt, or the Maccabean revolt, that starts in, well, you know these things, 167 to 164 BC. So we know from the 77s, that's another passage, I can grab that, that's Daniel 9, I think. Is it
What?
9? Oh,
I know this is going to sound strange, but what are we talking about Daniel for?
oh, okay. No, that's okay. So Reuven holds with scholarship, and scholarships say that the book of Daniel was authored in 164 BC.
Wasn't it authored over several centuries through various pseudonyms and anonymous authors and re-edited and revised? I thought that was pretty much the going theme on that particular book.
Reuven, would you like to comment on that? I'm pretty sure that if you listen to Dale Martin's presentation, and I can give you the link to that. Oh, here we go. See what Reuven's got to say. Daniel's exclusion from the Hebrew Bible's canon of the prophets, which was closed around 200 BC, suggests that it was not known at that time. Yes, I agree. And
Okay.
the wisdom
wasn't known by who? Just trying to keep up.
Yeah. So it wasn't available, or it wasn't. Oh, there you go. So Reuven's answering that, mate. Can you see the chat window?
Yes.
So it wasn't in the Hebrews Bible canon. That's recognised, I think, which was closed around 200 BC. So it wasn't evident at that particular time. So that's
Wait. Hold on. I'm unfamiliar with the Hebrew Bible canon. What is the story on that? You're saying all Hebrew canon was settled by 200 BC?
I'll let Reuven speak to that, but no, just the prophet section is what he's saying. And Daniel's one of the prophets.
And we have copies from that time that have it all canonical? Again, I'm just curious. I don't know enough about the Hebrew history on this. Aren't the Dead Sea Scrolls basically from about 100 BC?
Yeah. I think the earliest date, Reuven, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the earliest dating given to Daniel is 140 BC. No, I'm just speaking. Yeah, I get. Yes. Okay, so Reuven's agreeing with me. The earliest dating given to Daniel of any half credibility or reasonable credibility is about 140 BC. So we're narrowing down this range between so coming from the rabbinical side, 200 BC to probably the scholarship, I suppose, if you like, side 140 BC, so somewhere in that range. Professor, hey Nadia, Professor, what's his name? Dale Martin, he says, and he bases his position on classical historical methodology, and he says that it's 164 BC that it's most likely authored, because and his reasons for saying that is that you can see clearly how the passages map very clearly to history up to 164, and then he says that passage that I read to you guys earlier doesn't map to history, and it's an inaccurate prophecy, which I argued before, and I gave my reasons for the argument. I said that there is actual history that talks about that passage. So, and then I was going on to say that there are other bits in the book of Daniel that demonstrate that that the author knew about the full tenure of that particular Maccabean revolt. So I gave one, which is the reference to 2300 evenings and mornings, showing how that could have covered a 7-year period if it was late in 167 and early in 160 BC. But also, I was going to then offer a passage called the 77s. And the 77s passage, which comes from Daniel 9, and it starts at verse 20. That talks about it uses a system that's referenced in the Book of Jubilees. So the Book of Jubilees is marked as Apocrypha. Hang on, what's Reuven saying? And historically the book was largely ignored. It's only included because there were enough supporters of it to keep it in the Bible. I argue that Cyrus, it has no place. Like Cyrus, it has no place in the Bible. However, the discussion was over 1900 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So the debate was held in the 1st century, right, Reuven? You know, the decisions on Apocrypha. Oh, okay, Barker. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, you see, in 1st century, you know, they've got that episode where they're hiding the chariot story. The Talmud has both sides of the argument. Yeah. But here's what's important to me, Reuven, why I think because the book of Daniel, right, if it can be, it's not a matter of, it's just about proving that it's fabrication of prophecy. Because once that's done, the whole religious story starts to unravel, because then you're faced with the question, well, why did they do it? Now, you know, the general consensus, at least on the scholarly side, is at least, and even you and I will agree, that it's not written in 538 BC, and that's pretty clear. That in itself challenges the construct of it being based on anything spiritually valid, you know, like being able to predict the future. It's a writing that clearly takes the context of events that have just occurred and records them down. So if it's doing that, if it's faking the prophecy side, it's a fairly reasonable assumption that it's faking the angel side of the story as well. Now, if that's so, and with Rome in the territory, and sorry, there was another thing about Rome. Reuven, this one's for you as well. When you read Antiochus, remember how you said, you're going away. I'll wait till you come back. Nadia, what have you been doing?
Oh, I'm having some English muffins.
Beg your pardon?
And this level of, I guess, researching the history of the, Torah and Bible itself are a bit beyond me.
I didn't hear that. Can you just say it again?
I said this level of the history of the Torah and Bible are a bit beyond me.
Oh, okay, yeah. What we're discussing is the validity of the book of Daniel at the minute.
Well, I got the drift that was the topic, but
yeah.
I have, not much to bring to the discussion right now.
Yeah. So how's things going with you?
Well, I'm not going to discuss my personal life.
Okay. Fine. I didn't need the details. I was just going to say how they're going. I'm just going to have something to eat anyway. Oh, back. Okay, Reuven. So here's something for you, right? Remember you said how you saw the Maccabean revolt as a liberating moment for the people of Jerusalem, of Judea for the Israelis. I disagreed, right, because I felt that right up until that point they were owned by empires, and I don't think that that's unclear. And that's a period that runs from 745 BC to 160 BC. So here's something I'd like you to think about, and it comes from that same article on Antiochus. So what it says here about Antiochus and his rise to power, so it's from the same article I linked in, and as the son and the potential successor of King Antiochus, Antiochus became a political hostage of the Roman Republic following the Peace of Apamea in 188 BC. When his older brother, Seleucus, I guess, followed his father onto the throne in 187 BC, Antiochus was exchanged, so the Romans have exchanged, for his nephew Demetrius I Soter. So, Reuven, doesn't that sort of say that with Antiochus in charge, yeah, sorry mate, I should have thought. With Antiochus in charge and Rome being basically holding Antiochus III's son as a political hostage, mean that Rome really holds an influence over power over the governors of Judea? So we've got this 188 BC where Rome are politically influential. 188 BC, which is earlier than what I'd first realised. So if you follow that through, when you get the treaty that's struck, and I'll give you the link to that, there's a treaty struck between the Maccabees and Rome, 161 BC. Rome is always in the frame. Hello. All right, love. I'll just... These guys might be bored by this anyway, so... Reuven, that's the treaty between Rome and the Jewish folk, 161 BC. So 188 BC, we've got Rome holding the leaders' children political hostage. 168 BC, we've got Rome threatening Antiochus and pushing him back out of Egypt. 161 BC, we have the establishment of a treaty between Rome and the Jewish folks that were successful in defeating Antiochus. You getting my drift, Reuven? And then sort of come forward, yeah. So when you come forward in time, right, Rome is really like the de facto leader, no matter what, because if you come into the... Would you like a different topic? Yes, Gary, would you like a different topic? Yeah. Hey, Reuven,
yeah, I'm not that versed in the Bible as well, not in the depth that y'all.
That's okay. That's okay. No, the reason I had a bit of a smoke because this is a common thing, and I'll drop it, Reuven. I'll just leave it there. But I will make an observation that when it does get to a challenging evidentiary-based challenge to a belief paradigm that you held for a long time, it's a very difficult thing to want to. It's almost, there's an instinctive reaction, and I've seen it happen countless times, where you just want to avoid the discussion completely. So it takes time to settle in. But the evidence is pretty clear, mate. But it's a good news story because Torah still exists, and Jesus is a good dude. Anyway, so I shall stop. This is Prescott speaking. I apologise, Reuven. You say release the Kraken, and I thought you meant that I should try to beat the final level in Angry Birds. I think I will make a list of good subjects to discuss. Sheep shearing, latest advancements in needlepoint. How do you replace a fuel filter on a Jetta? Yeah, I don't know, you guys. There's some serious shit happening in our world. You should be talking about that, or we should be. Well, no, I shouldn't be talking about it. We should be doing something about it. But instead of just letting it wash over us. Anyway, Reuven, you suggest the topic. In fact, I might, if you don't think it's too rude of me, I might just go and grab a bite to eat, and if you're around later, I'll pop back in. Or are they doing that at the moment, Reuven? Because I haven't kept follow with that. So yes, okay. So ISIS is expelling Christians from Iraq. Now you see, mate, I know that none of you guys believe Nostradamus, but I don't discount anything until I found my facts. Bloody, there's a saying in Nostradamus about, a new power, and it seemed to be talking about Babylon, that region. Yeah, so, Mosul in particular, yes, almost all Christians in the second large. Yeah, see, this is this is bad news, mate, I'm telling you. What I perceive happening, if I look across the global activity, you've got all of the crap with the Islam in Nigeria and all of the shit stirring that's going on there. Then you've got this episode in the middle, and it's political.
Well, when you talk about Christian and Muslim, it's always us versus them, which means if you're not, in the party, then of course they would expel you.
Yeah, but no, it's political though, mate. It's not based on a theological basis. It's never ever been. It's never ever been about theology.
Well, how would they single out just the Christians then?
Oh, yeah, I get what you're saying, but it's political in nature. What's happening at the moment? I mean, if you look at all of history, right? These two, Islam and Christianity, well, I call them the Persians and the bloody and the Romans empires, basically. But they've been at each other through history, and what they do is they use the religious paradigm, the real powers in the mix. They use the religious paradigm to create the unrest before they actually go to war. They unsettle the locals. So what's happening across the globe, and it's not just what Reuven's pointing out, but if you look at Nigeria, it's the same thing. You're getting this rise in tension between the two faiths again. There, you're getting it in the middle. And in the States, you've got it happening as well. There's an anxiety about Muslim becoming more popular than is comfortable. Christianity is on its toes. And then to throw a real spanner in the work, you've got atheism. Now, what all that does is it creates uncomfortable feelings with people. And then when it turns to violence, like it is now, that really gets shit going, because what happens when you get people to that level, they won't be rational anymore. You'll get some real bad outcomes. Because when people confront each other, it just immediately escalates very quickly to violence because they're afraid for their lives. And that's the kind of dynamic we're seeing right across our planet. And unfortunately, I hold the view that it's all deliberate, and it's all political. Even that plane going down. I was looking at an article here. I don't know whether anyone's seen this, but that plane that went down just over the Ukraine. there was an article on Facebook about the 10 flights before it were regularly routed around it. It was just this one flight that was actually routed over that zone. Anyone see that? I don't know whether that's hit public press yet or not, but
No, I thought they said they thought that plane was shot down by the rebels.
oh yeah, but no. Apart from that, the actual routing of the plane, right? So, if you I know this to be factual. On the regular broadcast of the day of the event, what they were saying is that most of the carriers weren't flying over that spot. Reuven has a view. He doesn't think it's the rebels personally, and that's questionable too, Reuven. I agree. It could be anyone at the minute. It could be either side. But regardless of which side's culpable, what was interesting was this article, because we had all the regular carriers, they were diverting around that. They weren't going anywhere near the place. This particular flight, what this article said is that the 10 previous flights took the outer routes, and it was just this one flight that was diverted through that zone. And I just wondered if anyone had heard any confirmation of that. Reuven said the Nazis in Ukraine would gladly shoot down the plane for propaganda purposes. I think it's larger than propaganda because you've got to tie in. See, this is me again. You're going to blame me for.
I heard.
You're going to blame
I heard
me
about.
What? Sorry, go.
I heard about a different flight, not the one in Ukraine. The one that crashed or whatever over Malaysia, or the Malaysian flight, whatever.
370.
Supposedly there were like almost 100 AIDS experts that went down the flight because they were on their way to a conference or something.
Yes, that's right. But that's actually the 17. That's the one that got shot down just a day or so ago. On that flight, Nadia, there's a big conference in Australia here in Melbourne for AIDS, and it was bringing in, the international community to talk about HIV. And on that plane, they reckon there was a number of high-profile, specialists that were attending that conference. So you're right, but it relates to that current one, not the first Malaysian thing. But yeah, basically what I was going to say is that you see, I'm very dubious of the media, and I've been that way for quite a while, ever since I saw one of our guys over here run a rubbish campaign to try and downplay Jesse Ventura's book on the president's assassination, Kennedy's assassination, and his new theories. I just witnessed that, and I just said, I could see exactly what he was doing. It was a deliberate act on his part to try and suppress that story. And ever since then, I sort of just watched him a bit more closely, and you can just sort of see when they tilt the story to a certain position, and that's the way the media are playing up, and the politicians for that matter, they're playing up this as a really significant event. And so whoever, if it's a deliberate event, it's very calculated towards escalating the war. Whether it plays out that way, who knows, but yeah. But it's a very big move because it's pretty obvious that it's bloody suspicious, and I mean it won't take people too long to work that one out. So I kind of think that there'll be another big move pretty soon, and I mean it was on the back of that too. Same timing, the peace or the ceasefire ended with the Israelis launching rockets into Gaza. But so there's a bit of political deflection there as well while things escalate. And now Reuven's saying, about the expelling of Christians. So, you just get this gradual creeping raising of the temperature. They're building up to something big. That's what I'm saying. But then again, I could be wrong. Anyway, Reuven, I might, if you've got another topic, I might actually just duck out and I'm just going to have my lunch. And if you're still around, or if you want me to come back. Oh, Prescott's, you're on your way too, mate. So maybe it won't be a long one. But Reuven, if you want me to pop back in later, just let me know. I think I'm going to end it early. Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Yeah. But Reuven, I'm telling you, mate, no joke, that Book of Daniel, that's a fabrication, no question. And the liberty of Israel has never happened. They've always been owned either by the Persians or the Russians. Catch us later, guys.